We're going to do the pressure cylinder as a watch and try to understand what's going on with a multi-body part. So with a multi-body, we're going to build a scaffolding. We're going to tie these together. I don't typically build a part and tie another part to that part because then you end up with multiple points of failure. Something happens to this one, it translates to that one, which translates to that one, and you get a domino effect. So let's go into our metric part. And I just want to mention again, there's no real part of the assignment other than to watch. We've done these in previous semesters as an assignment, and I had mixed results. So this time it is going to be start connecting the dots, and we'll come back to it later. All right, so the center, and I'm not going to worry about the hole wizard items just yet, or the M24 holes. Missed that one a little bit, so we'll go horizontal. So 65, and I'm not going to end up with a center line there, so 50, 30, and 20. All right, so that gives me the first part geometry. And then we know that we're going to have 3 millimeters. And if I can get it to connect, there we go. I'll go into the smart dimension from the context menu. So there is another region, but I'm not going to build off of this part, even though I could. I'm going to call this my layout sketch. And we'll just bring that one back to there, make it horizontal, tell it that it's 13 millimeters. All right, and there are my shapes. So if I want to rename this, I'm going to call it a layout. All right, and there's a layout in the assembly, and I've had mixed results, and I haven't used it enough lately to see, but usually that layout is a capital L. My sketch layouts I do lowercase l. All right, so my first solid body. I'm going to open up a sketch on the front plane. We have the choice to convert entities. I would like to go ahead and, well, let's do it without the center line this time. We'll revolve pause space. Axis of revolution becomes one of the lines. Have our geometry. So I forgot to put the holes in. So maybe this becomes layout for the front. And if I grab on to the rollback bar, I can treat that as if it's not there. Go into the top plane. And what I'm looking for is a series of points. So for construction, 75 millimeters. And we can just put a point there. Go into our circular sketch pattern, put in the points. As I drag that out, there is the potential offending 9th point. So if this was part of the hole wizard, and maybe they stopped putting it into the hole wizard, but that was part of the hole wizard, that 1 point would be a 9th instance. The advantage, though, in this case is that I can drag it back to the center as opposed to making 2 of these coincident, and it does the same thing. So this becomes the layout for the top, or the holes, or some description that makes sense. All right, so same thing that we did before. We'll see which ones are the last ones used. Should be, oh, didn't matter. M8 by 1.25. We're going to do blind. Let's see, we were 17 millimeters on the depth. Actually 17 millimeters. And I did 12, so that 30 millimeters on the other one, I should have been able to see that, well, that probably wasn't going to work. So 20 millimeters or so to the shoulder, and 17 millimeters for the depth. So I think I got those backwards. Anyway, would have picked that out on one of the passes. So same thing, we could do coincident points, or I could do another circular pattern. Go ahead and accept. And to find my hole wizard, and I'm just going to stay with the 24 by 3 up to next position and place that at center. All right, so that's one. Now, one of the reasons that we turned on the solid bodies way back when is that I will be able to hide. That is pretty much the same as hiding the feature, but it manages a little bit better, especially when I'm going through this process of building with the intent of the multi-body part. All right, so we do want a local center line in this case, since I'm going to leave that open. And features, revolve base, 360 degrees. Hole wizard. Switch over to the simplified hole. Pick up our drill sizes. Yep, can't type in 10. I try that every once in a while. For 10, up to next. And then, in addition to, our feature scope now becomes all bodies or selected bodies. Well, since the other one's hidden, that's convenient. It's not going, should not find it, but if we activate and turn the chamber base back to show, and it has those, then we know that we missed something. All right, so what this does, if I go back and edit the feature, notice the merge result is off. Hiding those helps with that, but if I'm showing these, not a big deal. I typically want everything tied to the sketch though, so tab will hide that one. So I'm going to leave the base going for this, and I don't think it will try to connect, but we'll see. All right, so from there to there, that becomes my axis of revolution. Revolve, because I pre-selected it, it drops it into the box. It's showing me the feature scope, but merge result is still turned on even though it's not touching. So we go ahead and make sure that's turned off, because even when we turn on the next one in the history parent-child, it may pick that up. All right, so we'll go back. Hole wizard, the M10 through should still be active, so we'll stay with that one. Pop in the points. And accept. All right, so those did not go through, but it would be worthwhile to make sure that it is only going through Revolve 3 and not into the chamber base. And then I can come back and show those. All right, so at this point, we save this. And this is going to be the PC multi-body. All right, a lot of times I'll just put a dash capital M or something that denotes it as the multi-body part. We're pretty much through with the layouts, so I can hide those. And I cannot put in the fasteners here. So let's go ahead and bring this in. So let's just say this was a purchased part that we were going to modify. Oh, I guess it would help to drop in that last tap hole. So let's switch back. 4 by 3 up to next. and position. And I'll jump back here real quick. And I can force it to do the same thing that it found last time by selecting. All right, let's save that. All right, so these can be renamed. So a single click, and I can put in chamber base. Now some basic rules. I want to control the suppression states once I get to a point of saving these bodies. So gasket. Oh, that was something else that I forgot to do in the other one. Well, we'll pick that up here. Let's see. So the gasket, and then the cover plate. All right. So material specified at this level would be for all of the items in the part. So what I would need to do is on my bottom up is open up each part, and let's see if I can spell. All right, there we go. Open up each part and apply a material, and then that would transfer over to the drawing. In a multi-body, we're going to be able to pick plain carbon steel, and we'll stay with the plain carbon steel. And this material, we're probably going to have to edit. So we'll see if there's anything in the neoprene. If we needed to, we could go to natural, no, polyurethane. Oh, there we go, neoprene. So we could just apply a generic rubber, and it would have enough for our purposes. So the color changes a little bit. We get a darker for the neoprene, and then now those will participate in any mass calculations that we go to make. All right, so if I want to make a drawing from the part, we'll go into the drawing, pick our landscape, and if I bring this in, I should have grabbed the top plane. We can do kind of the same things as before. I'm just going to go ahead and select that. We'll switch it over to the top. And in this view, if I tell it that I want to select bodies, the scope becomes the base. And I can create my section view. I'll forego the dimensioning. Now, it didn't put in my center lines. So would probably go back in, find the annotations, do the center marks for all holes, go ahead and accept it, and that would put that in place. All right, and I'm not worried about the assembly. We didn't really do an exploded view here, so don't think. So let's go with the top again. That one came in, but I believe when we select the bodies for the gasket, well, that was interesting. Go ahead and select that one. We're going to lose the center marks again. Holes. And the drawing, projected view. Not worried about an isometric just yet. We're just kind of going through this process. Oh, that was what I wanted to try. So if I duplicate this, if I copy this part or this sheet and paste it after the selected sheet, it's going to give me a name. And let's see, I can right click and just off the screen delete. We'll get rid of sheet 3 so that I can rename this, and right clicking again, rename to 3. Make sure I have the right one. Select the bodies, and then this one becomes the cover plate, and I deleted that a little too quick, and pretty much the same thing. So we have some different ways to approach this. Got a center line, and needed the center marks. Make sure the view is selected. Go into the center mark for all holes. All right, and then we're ready for dimensions, ready for an isometric if we need it. All right, so that is the kind of the one method if we were making, let's just say we're making modifications, and I'll add a 1 onto this. Now the other side of this is if I do happen to need, and let's see, I'm going to go ahead and give these a dash M for the multi-body, a little off of my standard recipe, but something that will not interfere so that I can put them in the same folder. All right, so I want to extract these. And if I right click on the solid bodies, I don't typically do insert into new part. I just go ahead and save all the bodies. We auto assign the names. Everything's going to go out with it. We don't want to consume the cut bodies. The origin location and the default should be fine. And if I tell it to create an assembly, then the file name will be, and I totally have this backwards then. Now let's do this, and we'll open that guy and save. And yes, change the drive. All right, so it's trying to open up my inch by default. Rebuild and save. All right, so it sends me back to this one, to the multi-body part. Anything I put after the save bodies does not go over into the downstream, does not go into the derived parts. If I suppress anything, that creates its own kind of problem. So this is where the rollback comes in, is the rollback does not act as a full suppress. And the worst case is it puts this back to the last feature. So if I were to suppress one of these, it would go back to M24 by whatever on that feature. All right, minor nuisances, but they can add up. All right, so now we can go into our toolbox. As soon as I find it, the design library. Let's see what else we have. Machine screws, no. Socket head, X head. All right, so for the size, would probably stay 2.3, 0.5, 4. Well, let's go with that guy. And no matching size. There it goes. All right, looking for that snap M8 by 30. That's the problem with those is they start at 40 and they're going up from there. All right, so we need to find one that isn't crazy long. M8 by 30. All right, and in this case, I'll probably do this again, but under the assembly linear, we'll pick up a circular. I'm going to grab the cylinder as the axis, component pattern as the X, and we need a total of, and we're going to do equal spacing. All right, then that way if I wanted to put in washers or put in other fittings, geometry, there it is. All right, and then let's see, can we get to an exploded view from here? No, not from that one. There we go. So if I right click on the default, it's the same as coming up to the command manager, new exploded view. And that's one of the reasons why we want to pay attention to the selection order, because I have just selected Z and I have to come over and make sure to select Z. And that direction looks okay for X, but I think I'm going to be going in Y. Well, all right. And my auto spacing isn't on anyway, so let's see. Well, yeah, I guess it is. So would have thought those would have been first. Let's go back to the center. Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun. All right, so not one of my better explodes, but you can tinker with it and see what's going on. So what we end up, the main focus here. Let's go ahead and save all. The main focus here, see if I open one of these guys from the assembly, notice the origin is down here. It's in relation to the multi-body. It has this external reference, and the hole came across. And because we told it to bring over the materials and the visual properties, the plain carbon steel came with it. All right, so comment on the multi-body is somewhere around 3 to maybe 7 parts is enough for a multi-body. Any more than that, we're going to want to do top down, which will be next.